In this video, we're going to look at switching the wiring from a power supply that comes from the board to the breadboard from a power supply that comes from a battery pack. So you'll see this is set up currently as we had set up on the first day of Robot Pet, where we supplied power from the board to the breadboard, and then the servos and sensor got power from here. But now we're going to remove this power connection and the 5 volt. So I removed the 5 volt connection, and I'm plugging in the 5 volt from our battery pack and the ground from our battery pack. And now this is set up so that I can plug in servos or sensors over here to receive power, and the power is going to come from the battery pack. Now there's this weird wire. Why did I leave the ground in here? And that's because the signal wire is going to go from, say, like my servo is going to go still to these pins over here, and it needs the signal is also electricity, just like, you know, the power. So it has to return back to the battery somehow. Without this connection, the signal won't work. So this allows the current of the signal to pass through the board back to the battery. Okay. So this battery pack is only going to supply power to the breadboard, which means it's only going to power the servos and sensors. So if our robots are going to be autonomous, that means the brain of the board, the Arduino board, needs power. And it's going to come from a 9-volt battery, which plugs in here. Notice neither my 9-volt connector or this battery pack actually have batteries in them yet. Campers will get them once they are totally set, because you want to make sure all of your wiring is correct before you start putting batteries in. So this starts to be a lot of parts, and it's hard to deal with them if you're putting them into a robot. And you also want to avoid breaking wires off. So you'll use a small piece of Corey board as to create kind of a hardware unit, and it makes it all much easier to handle. And especially while you're building right now, use small dots of glue. So I'm just going to put a small dot. And these connections actually hold very strong, so even that's like kind of large. But I'll just put those on. And there's a switch here on the battery pack. I want that to stay exposed, because I'm going to want to be able to use that. And this side of the board has both the 9-volt connection and the USB connection, and I want those to be exposed. So if I'm putting them into a robot's body, I want these sticking out on the same side, because I'm going to access them frequently. So I'm going to put a small dot. Oh, that was too big almost. Of glue, so I can attach this and keep it out of the way of the switch. And I'll put a small dot here, so I can put the breadboard. Oh, I'm gonna flip it around. Okay, now I have my breadboard, Arduino board, and battery pack all wired up, and all the ports and switch on one side, so they're easy to access.